going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of... Fuck, what is this show? Which show is this one that I'm doing? J&J Power Hour. Power Hour, there we go. Power Hour. Power Hour. I know that I've been hyping for weeks that we're not going to talk about wrestling one of these weeks, but it's been a week of news. We kind of have to talk about wrestling this week. We're kind of forced into this one, to be completely honest. There's no way to start this show, so let's just fucking go into it, JPJ. There's no point in telling everyone how we are. We're fine. Okay, we're fine. We need to talk about what's going on with wrestling at the moment, because this next hour is going to be very, there's going to be a lot to talk about. So I think let's start with what's probably freshest in our minds. Let's start with Cody Rhodes, because man, oh man, you told me, even at time of recording, we're recording just before NXT this week, but at time of recording, you told me 2 days ago that Cody Rhodes was likely to head back to WWE, has officially departed AEW. I would have looked you right in your eyes, JPJ, and told you were a stupid idiot.
And I would have let you. I would have been like, "You're right, I am."
Just give me your... There's no way to structure this conversation. Just give me every one of your thought on what the fuck.
Well, first of all, he's an EVP, or he was.
Well,
an EVP.
Are they EVPs anymore? I thought that was a whole thing.
He was still, I think he was at least of that group, the one that was still helping out behind the scenes the most, I believe.
Well, Brandy was still the CFO or CBO or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, Chief Branding Officer or something like that. I don't know. But Cody helped build AEW. Without Cody
and Brandy, I guess we shouldn't just discredit Brandy. Brandy's also leaving. Brandy was, I guess, I mean, if you look at AEW heels, what they did with the female wrestling community, she was the kind of... Well, she seemed to be like the one spearheading that.
And she did a lot of I think it was American Cancer Society. They had a deal with. They had companies and charities. Like, she did a lot of charity work.
What was the one that helped kids with sensory issues? What was that called? There was it had I remember I know what the logo looks like and everything, because JWoww from Jersey Shore was really heavily involved with it, because her son has those kind of issues.
I know what you're talking about, but the name does not recall.
I'll look it up while you speak, and then I'll say.
Yeah, it's just me. Cody seemed like he was the guy that they needed to get this whole thing going. Like, he kind of went on the independents, left WWE because he was unsatisfied. What was it?
Culture City.
There we go. Yeah,
Culture City. They help with
the same reaction.
Yeah, they have the headphone logo and stuff like that. And so basically what they do is they have special headphones with kids that have sensory issues, or people in general. I think they help mostly children, from my understanding. So, like fireworks and noises they can hear properly, instead of it, overloading their brains when they have these, certain parts of their brain. From my understanding, that's what they do. So I just know that I'm a Jersey Shore person and obviously a wrestling person. So they kind of go hand in hand. I'm like, wait a minute, what's JWoww doing at AEW? But then her son has those issues. So yeah, I think Brandy maybe not was in charge of that, but I think she did a lot to help that. But sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, it's all good. I just, you had said it off the air. You said if you would have picked anybody to be the first, because let's face it, if the reports are true that he's heading back to WWE.
And by the way, this could change in the day before we release this, to be completely honest.
Correct. It could. It absolutely could. And even Sean Ross Sapp had a video earlier answering questions, and he said that it's not 100% confirmed that he's going to WWE, but that's what a lot of people think will happen.
And we've thought that in wrestling a lot of times, and then the complete opposite happens. He could end up on Dynamite on
correct
tomorrow. Whatever the fuck it is.
It's just, to me, it's man, if he's the first, this is the first real de facto from AEW, especially if he goes back to, this is the first big person to
deflect,
not re-sign.
Yeah.
With AEW, the first major person, superstar.
Has there been anyone that has been a major person in AEW that's gone to WWE or back to WWE? There hasn't been anyone, has there?
No, this is the first. This would be the first one, especially, insane. And if it's the guy if it's the guy who was the guy who left that helped create AEW.
Just
because that's what Cody was. Like, that's what Cody did. He joined up with those guys, the Elite. They did their stuff in Ring of Honor. They did their stuff in New Japan. Tony Khan caught wind of it, and he had the idea, hey, maybe this could work. But Cody was essential to that happening because he had the WWE credit. So didn't Jericho, like that, but that was after. Like, that was when they knew they were building this.
Cody had been on the independents and in New Japan, kind of waving his flag of being like, he had that remember the list, everyone remembers his list of who he wanted to wrestle, and Cody was gaining a lot of momentum even just on his own name, let alone going into AEW. But like, he was the guy that was like jerking AEW off from the get-go and being like, they've got the biggest dick in the yard, you know what I mean? Like it's so crazy that he's the one that they put out a statement saying like, all love and respect, and we wish them success, you know what I mean? And like, obviously Brandy,
unbelievable.
Cody and Brandy are kind of a package deal, but they had Rhodes to the top. They had the Go Big, what it was, the Go Big Show or whatever.
The Go Big Show,
on
TNT.
They had heels, obviously.
That's
like, it's just like, they're like, to me, that'd be like if, not that they're on the same, I think they're on different levels, but like that if like Miz left WWE, you would be like, Miz can't go. He's got Miz and Mrs. He's got all these, he's the ultimate spokesperson for WWE. Like, you wouldn't expect Miz to leave. Like, that was my idea. Not saying that they're the same. I'm just saying that Cody was that for AEW. He was the guy to go do media. He was the guy to be on reality shows. Like, that's the vibe I get from him with AEW. It's just, it is weird if we think about it in this way. If he does go back to WWE, right? He's a very different performer than he was in 2016 when he left.
Well, yes, but okay. So this is where, for me, it hits a whole nother layer of conversation, right? There's two things here. One, he hadn't been working with a contract since the new year. So he was basically on a handshake agreements. And so there's no non-compete.
Nope.
There's no nothing. He could show up on SmackDown Friday. He could show up on NXT tonight.
Well, he could show up on SmackDown. Like, they taped it, but
like, he can show up on any.
He could be in Saudi Arabia on Saturday and show up at the Chamber.
Correct. If it is true that he is heading to WWE, he's gonna be at WrestleMania. 100%.
Bitch, it's not.
He's having a marquee.
We have 7 weeks till Mania. I think like there's 7 or 8 weeks till Mania. Like, that bitch is on.
I don't know who he fights, but like, he's gonna have a marquee match at WrestleMania. And that's a whole story. Of
unless it's like, I mean, yes, but also like, imagine that Raw after Mania pop if Cody Rhodes
that could be as well. Yes, that'd be something. Would you hear?
I just got chills.
What's the? Yeah, right. It's gonna be. Oh my god! But apparently, Sean Ross Sapp said on the recording today that he owns the song that he comes out with to AEW. So
that is
WWE would let him do it, he would come out to that. If he came out to his current song, it'd be like, oh shit.
Especially in a Raw after Mania crowd, it's a lot of just wrestling people. You know what I mean? So wrestling fan. It's not like the typical WWE audience for Mania season, that Mania week kind of deal. It's not a WWE audience.
The crowd would go insane whenever, no matter where.
Oh, it doesn't matter. He could show up in fucking,
be like, holy moly,
Albuquerque, New Mexico, and people would be like,
I'm gonna be sitting on my couch like, I cannot believe what
even with all of the rumors and stuff like that, it's still like, with wrestling, you don't believe anything until you literally see it. You just don't believe anything
until that happens. But there are certain, there's just that rumors are rumors, right? There have been times where we've heard something and it didn't happen. I just feel like the way everything kind of went down here, and with the reports leading to him going to WWE, I think it will happen.
Unless it's a giant work.
To me, but Sean Ross Sapp, on his recording that he released on Tuesday, you can go back, it's free on YouTube. He said there are people that said that, multiple people that were like, this is a work, and he was adamant, and he was like, this is not a work. He said it's not a guarantee that he goes to WWE, but this is not a work.
Okay. I mean, it's not. At some point, companies have to be able to play these people that are reporting and stuff like that. I'm not saying that he's not telling the truth. He probably is. But you know what I mean? I'm just trying to get into a different mindset of like, couldn't someone just tell him? You know what I mean? Or whatever. It would be, as it wouldn't be as simple as that. But I don't think it's a work, to be completely honest. I think everything that's happening, that doesn't mean that he would never go back to AEW. I'm just saying, like, I think he's gone from AEW at this point right now as we speak. Who knows? It's going to be a very fascinating week for Mr. Rhodes and Miss Rhodes or Mrs. Rhodes. It's just whoa.
I have a question for you. So, like, if it becomes true, and he's going, like, he obviously in the discussions has to be like, I'm not going to be star. Like, I'm a different.
He has to have somewhat control over what he's doing. Not creative control, but he has to have somewhat input.
You would hope, but with what we've seen out of WWE and out of Vince these last few years, how can you believe anything he says?
It would have to be in his contract. He would have to be, if they want him bad enough, money is only money for so long before he's coming from a place, at least from what I'm seeing, and I think you'll agree, AEW is a fairly free place in the terms of like promos and, where you're I'm not
collaborative ideas.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that you're just going up to someone and be like, this is where the story's going. I feel like there would be collaborative effort being like, hey, we want to go here. But like WWE is the opposite. They're very much like, the writers are writing a story. You're fucking going to what that's saying. Some people have leeway with promos, I'm sure. And I'm sure Cody would probably have some sense of freedom within his promos now. I think if they're getting him back, they understand what the kind of deal is. But, it's not the same place, and he has to have that conversation has to come. This is the thing that AEW, I think, is going to do this is the best thing for WWE with AEW, is that, okay, yeah, money is one thing, but there's going to be so many people that they want that they're going to have to allow to have this kind of freedom in some sense, because that's what they're used to, and they're going to want them so bad, they're going to go, yes. And slowly, it'll take some time, but slowly that's going to change the mechanics of WWE, because we go, oh, all of a sudden we have 12 people that we've allowed to have freedom. Oh, that's working kind of well. That's got to change some.
Yeah.
But here's another thing. Here's another thing that I'll just add on top of this. For everyone that's like, oh, Cody Rhodes is going to go back to WWE, and all these people and officials believe that he's going to go back. For every person that wants Cody back in WWE, there'll be someone in Vince's ear saying, that motherfucker is an idiot, and we don't want him. So for every person that's like riling him up, there's someone bringing him down. There's got to be within that place that's like, but I will say Cody has always been very, on TV, he's always been very like, taking shots and stuff like that at WWE.
Yeah,
behind the scenes, and like,
he's a well-liked person.
He's always been like, WWE is great. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm always like this. He's like, it seems, I don't know, it could be the complete opposite. I don't know shit from Clay, but he seemed to end fairly.
Yeah, I mean, he publicly asked for his release, but he didn't say negative things going out the door or anything like that. He just said, we don't agree with my value. We don't agree with my value. I think I can give more. They don't. I got to go prove that I got it.
And it's weird. He's stuck to what he's saying, because if he does show it back up in WWE, he's done exactly what he said.
100%. He is 100% a bigger wrestling star now than he was when he left WWE. I think a lot of fans, it's not even close. I think a lot of fans like me thought that he could be a big star like he is now in WWE. They just weren't using him properly. Remember that when he came back, when they put that small angle with the Shield with Dustin and him, and that was amazing. Like, he was that cliffhanger at the end of Raw where they got fired, and then they like. That was an actual match. Like, people were invested in that.
They had
a great match against the Shield for the tag team titles.
The Battleground pay-per-view in like 13 or something like that, or 14.
And Dusty gave the bionic elbow to Ambrose, Moxley, obviously. But that was an incredible match, and they won the tag titles, and that place was going nuts.
Cody was having great matches, and like just before that with like Randy. Do you remember this match with Randy when he was in the Authority, and it was like Cody would lose his job if he lost to Randy, and Randy and him had like a fucking like fantastic,
because Triple H was messing with Cody. Triple H was messing with the Rhodeses. The Authority was, and I was like, oh man, they're gonna make Cody a star here. I'm like, Cody's gonna say,
and he always was here, wasn't he? He was like
Yes.
right here. There was multiple times in like Money in the Banks and Rumbles where like, is this
Yeah, he
Cody's
brought back
night?
the white. He brought
Oh.
back the white IC title, which I will always thank him for because that's just a pretty belt.
Over one's better.
When he, it's okay. I accept that. When he was the gimmick with the mask, and he would put the paper bags over the people's faces at ringside.
Dashing, and then he was undashing with the mask because Rey Mysterio broke his nose. You know what? And even what I will always defend Stardust because Stardust was a great character and he did it fucking well. It went too long. It went too long, but he did it so, you know how Stardust would go up and he'd hiss it like the crowd, and it was so well. He is a person that you could put in any role and he'll succeed. And I'm not saying that he's going to go back to WWE Stardust because I think that would be a very big conversation and be like, well, I'm not coming back. But I'm not saying that he will, but like, it'd be cool to see that pop up again for 5 minutes, you know, and be like, oh, there's Stardust, ha ha ha, funny. And then you go and do your own thing. But Cody Rhodes has done a lot, and we all have. I have been very vocal. I think you have as well about Cody Rhodes being annoying in AEW because he has been, and so is Brandy.
Yeah.
I had no interest in watching Brandy Rhodes wrestle Paige Van Zandt. I can tell you that. But I think if they take what they have there, you know, dial it down a little because it won't work in a WWE world as well. But if you dial it back a little and just kind of structure it a little better, those characters could work really well in WWE.
Oh yeah.
Later on, he's going to be a babyface for a hot minute because everyone's going to be like, what the fuck? Like Cody Rhodes is here.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Give it a few months when people kind of get tired because you know how crowds are. He could be a great heel in WWE.
Yes, he could.
There is a possibility for so many matches with Cody and all these people in WWE. Please correct me, but Cody Rhodes has never wrestled AJ Styles.
No, he has not.
Cody Rhodes has never wrestled. Well, he would have wrestled Roman, but like
in tag matches.
Not this Roman.
No,
he's never wrestled
Seth Rollins.
Not this Seth. Not this.
Imagine
Kevin Owens.
Cody and Seth would be Cody. Well, we weren't going to talk about Kevin Owens.
Oh, we will soon.
In a potential WrestleMania match for him, but I'd take Cody and Seth at this year's WrestleMania. You want to give me Cody and Seth?
Cody and Cody and a lot of people, to be completely honest. But
yeah,
and then let's just before we move on, let's talk about Brandy. You would think that there would be some, maybe not right at the beginning, but Brandy would have to be in the conversation.
I would be okay with Brandy being with Cody, like they're a on-screen package.
But the problem with me is that I know what their first feud would be, and I don't want that because it would be Miz and Maurice.
What it is? I don't think so.
If they brought in Brandy for WrestleMania and they brought in that for WrestleMania, you don't think that would happen at WrestleMania? That's a very WWE thing to book. It's an easy win that doesn't hurt the Miz and it gets him back into the WWE system. And then the next night on Raw, he's #1 contender for the WWE title.
Maybe.
But, I mean, to be fair, I would like them as a package deal, but I don't really have that much interest in seeing Brandy wrestle because she's, let's be honest, she's not a great wrestler. But
what if she did? What if she didn't? What if she was just like a permanent manager /
she was Maurice,
whatever?
She could get in there if she needed to, you know, take a bump.
She could defend. She could defend her man and do what she had to do, but she was clearly
and
like,
you know, special attraction like
SummerSlam's
coming up. She's wrestling. You know what I mean? Like,
it
would be it's very. We'll kind of leave it there because we'll just repeat ourselves over and over, but. It's I think if I had to sum it up in a word, it's a very interesting time for Cody Rhodes and for us because we don't know what's going to happen. And that's when wrestling is at its best because we now want to go, well, I should probably tune into Raw just in case.
Yes.
You know, just in case. They're back on USA next week.
Next week's Raw.
We're on the road to WrestleMania. Room. Speaking of WrestleMania, perhaps maybe the biggest, I think it's all right. I don't think it's arguable right now from everything that we've seen with wrestling and the what ifs left in our brain. Probably the biggest what if ever to exist in wrestling right now is what if Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestled just one more time, just once. He's 57 years old. It's not like he's going to be wrestling another 12, 14, 15, 16 matches. Just once. It's Texas. It's 100,000 people per night. What about the fact that during Raw yesterday, we'll just casually watching Raw, I believe the gauntlet match was on, which we're going to talk about in a minute because I want to talk about that performance. But we're just casually watching, and then I see all of these wrestling reporters just put out like what I just got told or what I just heard, what I'm about to release. If this is true, this is unbelievable. Like, this is unreal.
Yep.
Like, you will not believe this. I was like, oh my God, who have they released? That was my first thing. I'm like, who have they released? I'm like,
that's how sad. Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, like, this can't
you
be
automatically
right.
think it's going to be something like, oh no,
And then,
oh God, what could
and
it
then
be?
the article came up. WWE has made a play to get Stone Cold Steve Austin to wrestle at WrestleMania 38. What the actual fuck? Let's not talk about the person right now. Let's just talk about Stone Cold and the fact that he might be wrestling. Stone Cold Steve Austin is, I think, the biggest star ever in wrestling. The biggest.
I would 100% agree.
He is the face of what wrestling was. When everyone talks about wrestling in its heyday, you think of Stone Cold and you think of The Rock. The Rock is bigger as a personality now. I think he's exceeded anything he ever did in wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
But Stone Cold is the wrestling guy. Like, that was what he was known for. He was never known as a movie guy. He was never known as something else. That's the pro wrestler. You know what I mean? That was the WWE superstar, whatever you want to call him. There has been so many times throughout, he hasn't wrestled since 2003 was his last match at WrestleMania 19 against The Rock. That was his legit. He's never wrestled again. Like, there's not anybody that can really say that. And there's been so many times where we're like, is he going to wrestle Punk? Is he going to wrestle Brock? There's been rumblings, but it just never really got any legs, did it? It was just always like maybe, but it was never like
Punk,
you know.
Yeah, Punk seemed like one that was, I think they at least reached out to Stone Cold about potentially fighting Punk at Mania, and he said no.
And he's always been adamant that he's like, there's just nothing. It's not that he couldn't he would have to get into a certain physical shape to do it. But it's not that he couldn't do it. It's just like, why? Why would I wrestle again? Like, there's nothing. He's not proving anything to anybody by wrestling. He had a great send off. He wrestled The Rock in a great match at WrestleMania 19, and it's not like he's always around. He's always popping up and hitting a stunner every now and again. You see him on Broken Skull sessions. He's still fairly jacked. Like, he's still.
Oh yeah, he looks to be in great shape still.
He's always kept up his physical appearance or whatever you want to call it. Now, scoot back a minute. He was on the ads for WrestleMania. We knew he was going to be there. It's in Texas. He was going to hit a stunner on someone. He was going to drink some beer. We would have been like, fuck yeah, no problem. But there's been this thing that's been happening these last few weeks on Raw with Kevin Owens, and he's been talking about like he was like an honorary Texan, and then he was talking about how much he hates Texas. Nothing good comes out of standard heel stuff like fuck you Texas. And we're just like, okay, this is weird. And then as soon as that report came out, we're like, wait a fucking minute. Hold the fucking front door open for me right now, because I'm about to walk the fuck through this. Because listen, Stone Cold is not going to wrestle a 5-star match. That's not going to happen at any. It doesn't matter who he's wrestling. He's not going to wrestle a 5-star match. It's not going to be a 40-minute classic. It's going to be a fairly probably brief. Do what you have to do. Take the bumps you need to happen. And drink a beer and make your money and get the fuck out. That's fine. I'm not asking anything. But if you're going to put him in there with anybody, there's only a few names that come to mind that were like, okay, you could probably get a pretty decent go out of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Kevin Owens is in that list. And stunner versus stunner. Listen, Kevin Owens is not going to beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. I wouldn't want him to beat Stone Cold Steve Austin as much as I love Kevin Owens. I don't think any of us are like, oh, I hope Kevin Owens just beats the shit out of Stone Cold. No. We want to see Stone Cold do a Luthez press. We want to see him do a few elbows. We want to see him do a stunner, and we want to see him drink some beer. That's all we want.
Yeah.
We're not asking for anything else. But holy moly, I did not think on my 2022 bingo card that I'd be going, Stone Cold's going to wrestle, and you know who's going to wrestle? He's going to wrestle Kevin Owens.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday, and we were like, I love both these guys. Stone Cold is one or 1A favorite of all time with him and the Macho Man, and Owens is my current favorite superstar in the main roster of WWE, and he has been for a while. He's good at everything they've given him, and they've given him a couple dog shit ideas
Oh
that
yeah.
he at least makes entertaining because he is very good. And he's the
Oh,
guy
so
on the
good.
current roster that I feel like if they positioned him a certain way, is the closest thing to Stone Cold that
Yeah.
we've had. He could be that every man, like
Definitely.
they've always said throughout his career, no matter he was a heel or face, like family's most important. He could be that everyday
100%.
every man that the
100%.
crowd would 100% get behind as like, this is the guy we really like. He seems cool. He seems legit. We like this guy.
I
And he
couldn't
looks,
agree
you know,
more.
yeah,
Because my
and
guy in the main roster is very similar in that way. My Sami Zayn, that's my guy,
well,
and they're the
I
same.
wanted to bring this up. I wanted to bring this up because I was thinking about it because obviously I'm a big Stone Cold guy. Do you think there's potential that maybe the match ends up being Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville and Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Mm-mm.
Because
Stone
that came through my mind, and I was like, that would, if they don't want Stone Cold to have a,
Nah.
he deserves better than that. Stone Cold deserves better
No
than
disrespect to Sammy,
But-
and no disrespect to anything like that. But Stone Cold's wrestling in a one-on-one scenario. He's not coming back for a tag match. It's a one-on-one scenario. Kevin Owens is a very good person to put in. When I say that list of people that could get something out of Stone Cold, it's him, AJ, probably Sami
AJ.
Zayn's in that list, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
There's not many more that I could go, okay, Seth Rollins is probably in there as well.
Seth, yeah.
Just
Roman.
to keep him keep it basic. You don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens is going to be the one taking all the bumps here. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah,
you got to
100%.
think when Kevin Owens re-signed in December, not saying that like, hey, we're going to get you a match with Stone Cold, because I'm sure that wasn't on the cards in December. But when he re-signed, you got to think like everyone that's told him, oh, you're a fucking idiot for re-signing with WWE. What the fuck are you doing? He's probably looking them in the face right now. If this is true and going, I'm doing just fine. I'm going to wrestle Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania. Like,
incredible.
I don't have a problem with re-signing at all. So,
man.
it's just a lot to take in, I know, but like, we can't really add too much more because it's just speculation. Again, this could be nothing.
It is.
Like
yeah.
the Cody
this one,
thing could end
this
up
is
being
just
nothing.
speculation.
But
And they've asked him before, and he said no. And he's
said,
older now.
fuck off.
They asked him when Punk was around, which was at the earliest 7 years ago. So he was 50. Now he's 57. Yes, he looks to be in still fantastic shape. He very much still looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He, like you said when you first were talking about it, he's really the only guy now because Michaels came back. He's really the only guy that retired and has stuck to it. And he's been retired for 20 years, almost 19 years. So
they had to at least approach Austin about a sortie show, right?
I would assume.
Not even to wrestle, just to be like, hey, come over.
Yeah.
And he's never done it.
He was probably like, no, I'm good. No.
Speaking of Saudi Arabia, speaking of Saudi and the Elimination Chamber that's happening in a few days, listen, a lot of people have their opinions on these shows, and that's fine. I've kind of changed my tune a little bit because my biggest thing with those shows was there's no women booked on these shows. Well, I can't really say that anymore. There's 3 women's matches. There's multiple. There's a lot going on. I'm assuming Lita has mentioned in several interviews, we're going to talk about Lita in a second, but that she seems to think that the attire thing isn't as important as you think it is. And they kind of changed their tune a little bit.
That'd be the next step. I mean,
but I don't think so. I think they're going to have to cover up, but because it's just culturally.
So.
But apparently, she has stated in many interviews that all of the women that she's talked to that have gone over there get treated very well when they go over there, because I think they're treating them probably different than their own culture, but like because they're coming in, whatever it may be. Listen, I'm not here to change your opinions on that, and that's fine. Listen, I have my own problems with that being the lifestyle that I live. It's not very nice what happens, but I do want to mention about Sonya being able to go over to Saudi Arabia for what that, in my eyes, again, it's a little bigger than fuck wrestling at this point, but like she is an openly gay woman going over to a country that, listen, has its laws about homosexuality, and listen, if I went over to that country as an everyday citizen, I don't know if I would make it home. So you got to put it in that perspective. But she is over there just like, that's a pretty cool deal. You know, for me to be like, wow, that's someone who is openly gay, openly a lesbian, and is going over to a country that does not accept that culture. So I just hope everyone stays safe. Everyone stays, I'm sure it will be all fine. But to have 3 women's matches and have women on the billboard over there, I'm not going to sit here and say what they're all saying on Twitter. WWE continues to, whether they influence, change the, whatever the fuck their term is. Listen, it'd be weird if they didn't acknowledge it, but it's also a double-edged sword and being like, well, you're just jerking yourself off. But I understand where people are at, and if you don't want to watch or talk about the sorty shows, listen, I used to be like that. I was like, I'm not going to pay any attention to these. But hey, there's women on the show. Wrestling isn't going to change the world at all, but it does, at least in my eyes. I go, hey, it's something. It's something. So I'm going to watch the show like it is any other wrestling show. But the reason I bring up that is because of Lita. I love Lita. I've always loved Lita. Lita is a
Me too.
Nostalgic, just wonderful time. Aged like a fine bottle of fucking the finest Chardonnay in the world. Just wow. Wow, 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 wow. She looks great. Hits a moonsault to perfection, by the way.
The one she hit,
she
not last week. Oh,
yeah, last
she
week.
Popped up and she was like,
I fucking own
yeah.
that. She was like,
she was like,
I'm 46 years old, and I just hear that like I was 26 years old. She looks great. Her and Becky stuff has been a home run. I know you said you didn't watch the Lita segment that was on Raw this past week. They had a
I did not watch the one from last night. No, I did not. I've seen everything else.
They had a contract signing. Becky seems to be a little
like kind of losing it. I heard like a little on edge.
She's trying to get in Lita's head. A little bit. You know, it's been a good story. It's been it's been very simple. Just let the story be what it is. It's not convoluted. It's just legend, current talent. They're like I guess a lot of people have compared Becky to Lita in a lot of ways. And
I can see that.
I think that's just the kind of natural thing to let them go at it.
And Becky early on said that Lita was like one of the main reasons she wanted to get into wrestling, like loved wrestling, was that Lita character.
She said there would be no Becky Lynch if there wasn't
Becky Lynch without Lita.
And now that Becky is here, there can be no Lita when Becky Lynch is here, or something like that. I fucked up what she said.
Yeah.
But she said, but it's just been a really cool time. And Lita stated that this was not planned. It just kind of, she said in interviews that she said, I was walking from the Rumble, got into Gorilla. Vince looked at her and said, want to wrestle Becky in 2 weeks? And she went, what? Sure. Okay. Didn't have time to think about it. And they just said, all right. And then, she's fighting. I think this could have been a Mania program, to be completely honest with you.
I agree.
I think this could have been Mania. I know that Bianca, but you can do something with them. But this could have been Mania.
After last night, I would be, if they would have went Lita Becky for Mania, I would have been perfectly fine with a Bianca Rhea Ripley thing.
Let's talk about
Mania.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about Rhea Ripley. What a performance by Rhea Ripley last night.
Woo!
Oh, tremendous. I have always, and I know she's from your neck of the woods, my friend.
Town, my friend.
But I have always been a strong advocate for Rhea Ripley. She's awesome. She rules. She should have beat Charlotte at WrestleMania a couple of years ago. Good for her. That was a great performance. They better do something with her at WrestleMania. Doesn't have, obviously not going to be a title thing, but make her match important. That's literally all I care about. Make it somewhat important.
They have 2 nights. You can have multiple.
For the love of God, she's like 25, like super
me.
young. Future of your women's division. She looks unlike anything we've ever seen. Like from an aesthetic standpoint, she's a beast. She's beautiful. She's
different
a star.
too.
Her and Bianca should be running this shit. Those are the next 2. They should be running this shit.
Bianca Belair, the energy when her music hits and she comes out, she knows that she owns this shit, and it's perfect. She just every aspect of her game is just near flawless. Like, she is so good. She's not. It's weird. She wins a lot, but she's also not shoved down your throat. She is just the perfect example of WWE
everyone
creating
likes her.
a star.
The crowd loves her. She comes out. The pop is always good. When she hits her finishing move.
Oh, they just know
when she hits her finishing move, the crowd gets jacked up. They're ready for it.
They just get her. I get her character. I see her and I go, okay, I get what you are. You're the shit.
Yep.
You literally are just the shit.
Yeah.
And you just know it. You ooze. That woman oozes a charisma and a confidence that I just aspire to have. Like, there's just something you look at
She's
her and you
awesome.
go, I get it. You know what I mean? There's some people that you look at and you're like, I don't get what you're presenting. What you're telling me is not matching what I'm seeing. But like, I don't have to be told what she is. I just get it. She owns any room that she's in. There's an energy that comes out because, listen, this is a hard spot. Rhea Ripley went through 3 other people. She's looking like a beast, wrestled for 40-something minutes. Bianca comes in and wins. Sometimes that can hurt. You could be like, oh, I want to see Rhea.
We wanted Ripley to win because she wanted to go.
It didn't bother me at all that Bianca come in and won. And Rhea had a star-making performance. I hope she enters at numero uno in that elimination chamber.
And I hope she's one of the last 2. I hope it's her and Bianca again at the end.
I think there was a report that came out yesterday that perhaps they're going with the triple threat with Becky, Bianca, and Rhea. While I do probably prefer to have one-on-one because of the story with, it's been this over kind of thing with.
It's been since SummerSlam technically.
Exactly. We haven't really
complete
had
it the one-on-one way.
We haven't had.
They did the same thing.
They didn't have an end.
They did the same thing with Becky and Ronda, where the story was Becky and Ronda, and then they threw. And you know me and you pro Charlotte guys.
Oh, we love Charlotte.
Guys. The match, she didn't need to.
No,
be in that match. The match was Becky and Ronda.
That's
what it was.
It
and I literally just said less than 5 minutes ago, huge advocate of Rhea Ripley. It should be Bianca and Becky.
It should be. I really think
the story.
So. But dude, I just said, like I just said before, there's 2 nights of WrestleMania. That doesn't mean you just have to have 2 women's matches on each show. You can have 3 or 4. Like, why the fuck do we have to have so little? Like, can we just have a story?
There shouldn't be. You shouldn't be looking at a 2-night card and going, okay, well, we have to have the. No,
fuck
you should build your Mania. If you end up with 4, 5, 6, 7, there's going to be 17 matches or 18, 9 a night, maybe even 20, 10 a night.
Who knows?
Who knows? But there's going to be anywhere between 15 and 20 matches.
Plus, you got kickoff shows. You've got so much bullshit that you can have on this show. Why can't? Hey, I wouldn't be opposed.
Battle Royals,
why couldn't we build to like a Rhea and Liv program? You could do it if you wanted to do it. You could do it.
Yeah,
turn one of them, have them fight each other. I'm an advocate for Money in the Bank. It shouldn't be a pay-per-view. It should be on WrestleManias. And it's a 2-night show. It should be a men's Money in the Bank on one night and a women's Money in the Bank on the second. That's how I think they should do it, but they don't because Money in the Bank is its own pay-per-view. But you could do stuff like that. Hey, Lita's around. Why can't Lita fight Rhea Ripley? That'd be kind of fucking dope. I'd like to see that. Turn Rhea. Yeah. Let's have Rhea be a fucking mega blown heel that we know she can be and just rip through someone like, you're not going to boo Lita. Fuck no. Why can't Rhea fight? I don't know. You could have built the Nikki's program with her much better and had them turn on each other. Nikki turn on, still do the same thing, but have that build to Mania. Let them have a street fight or something. I don't know. You could have done something. Hey, there's someone that she fought last year at WrestleMania that has not been around in a little while, and arguably since that loss at WrestleMania has had kind of a downward fucking spiral, and that's Asuka. So why can you run that back? Alexa Bliss is now back, who's now in the Elimination Chamber. It's going to be cool to see Bliss back in the ring. People have... What's the word? Maybe just... they have... Oh, my Alexa's turning on. Hey, Alexa, shut up. They have opinions on Miss Bliss, to be... Put it in a weird way. But hey, Bliss can go in the ring. Some people forget that Bliss can go in the ring, and her and Rhea would be a good time.
Yeah, I feel like she's one of the few females besides the 4 horsewomen that they've treated with respect before. Multi-time. She was the first ever woman to win both Raw and SmackDown titles, I believe. I think she was the first ever one to do that.
I think she's like a 7-time champion or something.
Yeah, she's won a lot of main roster heavyweight women's heavyweight championships. And that was very much during the time of the 4 horsewomen up there. Like she was very much in that mix. They treated her as a top person besides the 4 horsewomen.
And hey, there's also someone else lingering around, and that's Bayley.
Yeah, correct.
Bayley and Rhea. Woo.
I love Bayley. Oh, I'll be okay with that. I love Bayley. Bayley and anybody. Just give me Bayley fighting anybody.
There's also the possibility, because it's WrestleMania season, and hey, brand splits don't matter. Imagine a program with Banks and Ripley.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic too.
Oh my God, they could work. We've seen them briefly touch in the Survivor Series match a few years back, and I was like, oh, all right. Banks has got nothing to do at WrestleMania at this stage.
Not right now. Not right now.
And you got to think that Banks is going to be in somewhat of a feature match. It's Banks.
She should be. Yeah, she should be. If she, they said. I mean, she came back at the Rumble. She didn't do much, like not a great performance or anything like that. But if she's ready to go and she's in 100% WrestleMania, she has to be towards the upper mid to top of the card.
Has to be like the main women's match outside of the title matches would have
the titles.
To feature.
It should be. Banks. Yeah, maybe it's her versus Bayley. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't want to see Bayley and her again.
Maybe it's them two teaming up. Maybe it's them two teaming up against
Carmella and Queen Zelina for the tag titles.
Maybe for the titles or the Bellas. If the Bellas are going to wrestle, who knows? Maybe. I don't know.
See the Bellas. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, there's a lot. I guess I've been whinging about WrestleMania because I haven't. Well, until the Stone Cold stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sold on fucking Mania now. But,
now we have to build in a Stone Cold and a Cody Rhodes match potentially. So it's like, wait.
Manias might be coming back around, but like, I guess the good thing about that is that there's so much like just. There's so much room for like what could happen. And it's easy for them to just go, well, she's in a battle royal, but like there is a lot of room for like, well, what's this person going to do? What's this person going to do? So that's kind of exciting. Now that we've got we obviously know that Roman and Brock is happening, and we know that Charlotte and actually, let's talk about Charlotte Ronda a minute, because that's I love Charlotte Flair. You love Charlotte Flair. I'm like this on Ronda. I don't hate Ronda like everybody else, but I certainly am not like Ronda's number one advocate.
She's not my favorite,
especially since she's come back. I'm not feeling this incarnation of Ronda Rousey.
Not great.
We're getting Charlotte and Ronda at WrestleMania. I would assume in one of the main events of probably the main event of the first night.
I would think that would be
they had a
main event and
fantastic match back at Survivor Series a few years ago. Like genuinely, like Charlotte Ronda is so good. That match is so good. I'm not questioning that the match is going to be good because I think it will be, but it's not hitting at all. And the crowd,
the fans are going to hijack. The fans are going to hijack the shit out of that match
because we're not going to cheer Charlotte. Listen, I love Charlotte, but like I'm not here to cheer Charlotte, and I'm not here to cheer Ronda Rousey. She's so anti-cool. That's Ronda's problem, is that they try to present her as this badass, this cool like anti.
But she looks like she's just miserable.
Like, let her lean into that. Like, fuck us.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us to fuck off. We all told you we hate you. Tell us that you don't like, that's the Ronda I want. I want that, like, wrestling is fake. I'm a real athlete. I'm MMA. Suck my fucking left fucking ass cheek. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want from Ronda Rousey. I don't want her to be like, I'm here to beat up Charlotte Flair. No, like, tell me I'm an idiot because I watch stupid ass wrestling. That's what I want from you, because I want to hate you. And they're just
100%.
And you can't have it the other way though, where Charlotte's the face and she's the heel, because I also don't want to cheer Charlotte. I love Charlotte and I do cheer Charlotte in that sense, but like I cheer Charlotte because she's a cheaty piece of crap. Like, that's when Charlotte's at her best. So it's just like it's doing this. Instead of doing this, it's doing this. And it's like, this just isn't, it's not.
Yeah,
add
it's
someone
not hitting
to
for
it,
me
or
either.
Add Banks in there or something. Naomi, who had a star-making fucking performance in the main event of SmackDown last week.
What a match that was!
That match was so good.
What a match that was!
That showed me. Naomi should be like a 15-time champion in her 11 years that she's been in that company. 11 fucking years.
How many? She should at least be treated like the former multi-time champion that she is, at least. Like, she's won it more than once, right? She's won it twice, 3 times?
She's won it twice, but remember, she got injured, so she had to relinquish it, and then she won it right back. So, like, yes, okay, it's 2 times, but, like, Naomi is... How the fuck?
Very good.
How the fuck, outside of wrestling, how the fuck do you not promote this woman? She is a kid's dream. She's colorful. She's a dance... Like,
cool-ass entrance.
Casual wrestling fans are like, holy shit. She's mainstream gold. That's what she is to me. And like you see when she gets mainstream publicity, I'm like, why aren't they capitalizing on this? I don't understand. Like, people love her, especially like a black woman doing so many cool things. Like, she was the first to do a lot of all that stuff and get recognition. Like, look at this cool fucking bitch that's on my screen doing so much cool fucking shit. And she's not. They like go like up and down with her.
And they don't really treat her with.
And like
They
the
don't-
Sonya
again-
story, by the way, finally got like, I know we got a little bit more to go, but like it's finally seemed like she slapped her in the face and like she was banned from ringside. Like there was genuine times in that match where I thought Naomi was going to win.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was like, wait a minute,
agree.
because it doesn't make any sense for her to win because we know where we're going. But like, I was like, she's going to win. And she nearly did fucking win. And now she's teaming with Ronda.
That match was
Oh, my
excellent.
God.
That was
You take over from me because
excellent.
I'll keep ranting about it. But my God, what? Just give me everything on just all of it.
I'm a big proponent of Naomi. I think I agree with you. I never even, I mean, not that I never thought of it, but the mainstream, like from a public value of things, I haven't thought about that much with her, but it's true. Like when she came back at the Rumble, she had a huge pop and they've done basically nothing. Like they haven't done much with her since. I do like the Sonya storyline. I would like to see the payoff. Like Naomi better. I think Naomi needs the payoff there.
So hopefully she pins her Elimination Chamber.
I think so.
I think so. They're probably going to put Ronda over, to be honest.
Yeah. My thing is when it comes to like they don't treat Naomi like they treat former champions, really. She should be near the top. Like there's no reason why that was Naomi's first title opportunity in however long it was before she got that title opportunity. It's been a hot minute. Like way too long. Way too long. As far as the Ronda Charlotte stuff go, for me, I expect the match to be good because they're gonna have a good match because they're
Charlotte
both
Flair.
very good. It's Charlotte Flair and Ronda's not so bad either.
Here's something, Penny, for your thought. Naomi had a great performance, but have you noticed that a lot of people's best matches are with Charlotte Flair? Whether people want to admit it or not, no one wants to hear that because everyone hates Charlotte. But Charlotte Flair gets the best out of 95% of the people she's in the ring with.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that's no disrespect to Naomi. She's fantastic, and she did a lot of that work in that match. But like, listen, you put someone great in there with someone great.
Yeah, it takes two to tango.
But anyway, go on.
For me, it's just, and I know the rumor is they're going to do it next year. It's not the match I want to see.
No.
That's just very simple. For me, it's like if Ronda's coming back, if you're going to, in my opinion, waste that Rumble opportunity to give it to Ronda, I want to see the match that I want to see, and that's Ronda versus Becky. I'm not
going to want to see that. There's a lot that can happen in a year.
Yeah. There is. There's a lot. Something, there's a lot that can happen in a year. It's not a guarantee. I don't know how you immediately don't go, okay, we're getting Ronda back. She's fighting Becky at Mania. That's what's happening.
That should be the first match they go to, and then you just figure it out after there. You know what I mean? Like, WWE book on the fly anyway. Just figure that shit out after.
Figure it out. Yeah, figure out the story. You're figuring it out for Ronda and Charlotte. Like, I get it. They said that Charlotte was like, not begging, but she was asking for this match for months now. I get it.
Do that later.
I get it. And Charlotte, why not SummerSlam? Why don't you get her at SummerSlam?
Next year at Mania. Why can't you have Charlotte
next year?
And Ronda.
Like there's an unfinished story that needs to be finished, and you got this person back after being gone for over a year.
And because remember, I know that they both end up getting pregnant and having a child, but like Becky had been gone before all of that happened with Ronda. So even if the idea was there, Becky was pregnant, and then by the time Becky was good, Ronda was pregnant.
Yeah.
So
it's been years since it happened. It was WrestleMania 35 that main event
2019,
and we're at WrestleMania 38. So it's been 3 years. It's an unfinished story where the whole reason, not the whole reason, but like the match that we were building to where Becky broke her nose and became this like next level superstar was a one-on-one match between Ronda and Becky at Survivor Series. That was the match.
Yes.
And then Nia Jax broke Becky Lynch's nose, and the way everything just went down, it was like a perfect recipe to make Becky Lynch even more over than she was already becoming. And that created the man. That night created the man character.
You're right. It's
3 years later, Ronda's back. The match I want to see is Ronda fight Becky. I want to see Becky whoop her ass. That's what I want to see.
I do as well.
And now I have to wait a year for it.
I know.
And I don't want to wait a year for it. I'm sorry.
I don't either. No, I do. I'm the same. I'm the same.
Yeah.
But listen, it is what it is. We just gotta, a lot can change. I think this is Naomi's year, and I think if I was in WWE right now, that match
She would be
become a
my
triple
money
threat.
in the bank. She would
I
be
think
my
that match
money
would
in
be
the
a
bank
triple
winner.
threat, to be completely honest with you. And I'd throw
I'd be
Naomi
okay with
in there.
that too.
You would have the company girl in Charlotte. You would have the kind of do what you want, anti kind of hero kind of deal with Ronda, and you'd have what we want in Naomi, and you could have a new star that you've created, that you could have created years ago with Naomi. And Naomi fucking deserves it, dude. Like, she is, don't we say that a lot in wrestling? And, you know, whatever. She earned that. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm very ready for Naomi. I think I'm just ready for someone new.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
And but, it is what it is. I won't go on about it too much more. We'll kind of wrap things up here now, because we just spewed a lot of information at you guys.
That was good though. That was good, passionate wrestling talk.
Yeah, we talk a lot of nonsense on this show, but wrestling is a what? It's exciting.
In our hearts, man.
It's exciting.
Yes, it is. Well, look at the bottom line is it's WrestleMania season. This is the exciting time for wrestling fans. And with all the news that we weren't expecting, Cody Rhodes, Stone Cold, it's just a crazy time right now. There's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot to be optimistic about.
Ooh, it's so exciting.
Yeah, as you can see,
listen.
Yeah.
Not only in AEW and all that stuff that's always kind of like got a pulse on things, it feels like WrestleMania season now. I was not feeling it at all. I was like, this is the most uninterested I've ever been in wrestling going into WrestleMania.
Well, it's because the Royal Rumble was a huge dud. The Royal Rumble was a huge dud,
wasn't it? It was one of those awful farts.
Killed, yeah.
You know those farts, then you kind of shart and you're like, uh-oh, I need to go to the toilet?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to watch Royal Rumble.
It was just a really because everyone was jacked up. Everyone was excited. It was just a filthy, it was a huge dud. And that got a lot of people's wrestling, like
WWE world, at least
in the WWE world. Which let's be honest with each other. Like most of us, that's still part of our world. As much as we bitch about it, It's still a major part of our.
I want
world.
It to be the best thing in the world. I want it to be.
Of course, the reason why we bitch is because we still watch and we want to enjoy.
I got all WWE stuff behind me. Also, I updated all this. Did you notice I updated my?
I did. Yeah, it looks nice.
Thank you.
It looks nice.
I've spent some time and got like my shit. There's like you can't see it, but there's like shirts hanging up. There's a Nikki Bella shirt there. I got shit going.
Yeah,
my games.
Yeah,
I'm
I like it. I like it.
But yeah, the WWE is my. Of course. Look who's here to. It's the end of the show.
Yeah,
she's got to.
She's like, I need my shine. Let me get up on here.
Come and say goodbye.
Give me my shine.
She just looked at me and she went, "No, you walked on."
I'm good. But for me, it's kind of the news that we've gotten this week has kind of rejuvenated my optimism for heading into WrestleMania to see what the next 2 months are really about. So
ready.
We'll see. But I'm feeling pretty good. I'm
so ready for it all. So
we didn't even talk about like what that, and maybe we can touch on it next time. But like we didn't even talk about really what that Cody Rhodes news means for AEW.
We can,
because I feel like this is
that.
I think this is the first true like dark day. Like this is the first like black.
We're gonna remember this
on AEW.
We're gonna remember this.
Somebody, one of your dude, like your dude, one of your founding fathers of AEW, just was like, "No, I'm good. I'm potentially going back to where I left to start this whole thing to begin with." So. Like there's a whole AEW layer to it. That's a whole nother conversation that we didn't even
if Cody Rhodes shows up in WWE next week or the week after,
if he has a match at WrestleMania this year,
we're dissecting that.
Oh yeah,
that'll be fun.
We will,
but we're gonna dip out now. There's a lot going on. What have you got going on, JPJ? Between two beards, I would assume.
No, I'm on vacation this week.
Oh.
So we record this earlier in the week. So I was able to do this recording, but on Thursday, actually, I'm going away for the weekend to get some rest and relaxation.
So between two beers. So you're taking a bit of time off. So you got nothing to promote?
There will still be an episode. So watch Plug. I gave Plug of the Rain. So God help us all that the show's still standing. At
Good
the
fucking
end, from when I come back. So still go watch Between Two Beards tonight, 8 p.m. on Love Wrestling. Go give Pluggo. I believe He's going to have some special guests on, some that are friends of both of ours. So I don't want to spill the beans. I want him to do his own thing. It's his week there.
What a mess.
And he's going to have some good stuff to talk about, obviously, the stuff that we talked about today. But so go watch that 8 o'clock. By the time this drops, 8 o'clock tonight, Eastern Standard Time.
12 p.m., 12 midday, 12 midday Friday. For
there
most of Australia, 11:30, 12.
Yeah, go give Between Two Beards some love. But I'll be back next Thursday. But that's every Thursday, 8 p.m.
Hell yeah.
On Love Wrestling. And then I have some stuff. You've been releasing all your stuff on Overbooked. We have recorded it. So hopefully soon we should be seeing some JPJ action on the Overbooked as well. I know I've popped in for a guest spot here or there. But
you did hit some misses.
So we got some stuff coming up down the line.
What have I got coming up? Overbooked? What is this week's wedding? We're still in the month of February doing weddings. Brooke Hogan and Bully Ray from TNA we're doing this week on Overbooked. You really need to watch So Bad It's Good because, listen.
It's very enjoyable.
It's so funny. Even I laugh at it and I hate who laughs at them like I'm in it. I'm not. It's the editing of that show is so brilliantly done by our editor. And it's just, it's funny. If you just want to watch something that's wrestling based where you can just, we're not here to analyze shit. We're not here to talk like, what did it do for this person? We're just here to have a bit of a laugh and take the piss out of things and just watch wrestling how it's meant to be watched. Pure entertainment. And we're talking about dumb ass wrestling weddings that are always fucking shit. We just talked about Kane and Lita and it was the dumbest fucking shit. And if you're into that kind of stuff, I would suggest watching it. It's the only piece of content that I like put on my personal JPG has me on my personal Facebook and I don't talk about wrestling on there. I don't do any of that. I post this on my personal Facebook because I'm like, this is funny. Like it's a lot of people that are my age that grew up watching wrestling. You will remember all this dumb shit and you can just have a laugh and it's what you remember as kids. And I'll always put it as like I'm not saying it's like my best piece of content that I create, but I'm just saying that like, it's just very like, it can go to anybody and you will understand what's kind of going on because me and Joel are just being idiots. So go watch So Bad It's Good on 5-4 Overbooked. Legacy of is on a couple of weeks break. You'll see when the next one is. It'll only be a week or two that we're taking away. But go watch the Legacy of Becky Lynch. That's up now. What else have I got? Just my Twitch stuff. I'm always like promoting stuff, and I feel like such an idiot. But I'm just you know where to find me at this stage. Come and hang out. WWE 2K22 is coming out in a few weeks, so my Twitch streams will be really riling up. I'm doing a midnight release stream at this stage. I'm doing a midnight release stream, so it's midnight my time, guys, so it's before Americans can get it. So this is where it comes very, very nice that I'm Australian, because about 8 hours before you even get your hands on the game, you can watch me play it, because a lot of people are American that are watching the show. You can watch me play it, because it's midnight wherever your time zone is. It will come out midnight my time. So I can play it and you'll be like, what, he has the game already? I'm like, I'm in Australia because we're pretty much in front of the most of the world.
You're in the future.
So
you're in the future.
Come and watch me play the game hours before a lot of the world gets the game. So then you can kind of see it with your own eyes, be like, okay, I can buy it. I can get this and stuff like that. Come out, have a good time.
I know we're wrapping up here, but I am also very optimistic about that game too.
Looks good.
It's early. I do want to see some more stuff released before it comes out about modes and things like that. They'll release like teasers and stuff. But so far, what I'm seeing, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Me too. You'll know more about that. I'll probably talk about it on this show. But that'll do us. We'll be back next Thursday. Who knows what we'll be talking about? I won't say that it won't be about wrestling because there might be a lot to talk about. I don't know.
Yeah, they might be.
I don't know. Enjoy Chamber if you're watching that. Enjoy all the other wrestling. I'm not going to list everything of wrestling because we'll be here for 40 minutes.
There's a lot.
But go and enjoy all of it. Stay safe. We love you all. We'll see you next Thursday, 9 p.m. Australian Central Daylight Saving Time. See you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.